Hey, what's up everyone, Same Time Gaming here. Welcome back for another Division 2 build video. Well guys, do you remember the Eclipse Protocol gear set? I'm pretty sure you guys do. I mean, I hope you didn't forget about it because, you know, everybody's busy using Strikers, St. Elamos, you know, Ouroboros, you know, Kingsbreaker and all those stuff. But it's okay. If you make this build, which I'm about to show you, if you're using it on a group where everybody's using those, you know, DPS build like Strikers, St. Elamos and all those things, they will love you for this. Like, if you use this build, they will love you. Even if you, you know, using like a sniper build, if someone is using like a sniper build and you're using this build on a group, they will love you for that. Because trust me, everybody loves an enemy that doesn't move, so they can take them out easily. And that's pretty much what we are doing here. We're using the new exotic chess piece, which is the collector chess piece. We're using that and pairing with, you know, Eclipse Protocol, and making sure that everybody is staying in one place, you know, like kind of crowd controlling them at the same time, and just buffing our group's damage, you know, so they can just clear out the room very quickly. And we're doing that on a legendary mission, which is really good, right? So let me just show you the build, what I mean by that, you know, before you guys start skipping here and there. Just let me explain it like in a brief way. Just give me 5 minutes of your life, okay? So first of all, we're using the specialization here, the Survivalist. And this is actually the specialization I would recommend you to use it. If you want, you can use different specialization because, you know, I mentioned that we're using the collector chess piece. So we're pretty much spamming our grenades. So whichever specialization you feel like using, because every specialization has different types of grenade, right? For example, the firewall specialization has the cluster grenade. So if you want, you can use that. But I chose this because we get the fire grenade from it. Plus, we have the, you know, the weapon itself, which is a crossbow, and it pretty much one-shots the Chunga's armor. In a legendary mission, it one-shots their armor, which is good. Plus, we are also giving our entire group 10% of damage to target out of cover. Whichever enemies that are like, you know, status effect, they're going to be doing that 10% damage to target out of cover. And in this build, we are pretty much keeping everybody in status effect, so that's a good thing. Plus, you also get 10% protection from elite, you know, if you value that, so that's there. So it's hard to beat this thing. Now, as for our weapon, we're actually using the LEFTY here, which is pretty much our main weapon because of the perfect sledgehammer talent. And this will be active pretty much every time. That's your job. You need to keep this sledgehammer active 100% of the time, which you can do that without any issue. And I will talk about that in a moment as well. But why do we need sledgehammer? Because, well, we are going to give our entire group 40% more damage to armor. So any enemy that has armor, whether it's a boss or you know, like a enemy that like an elite enemy or any enemies that has armor on them, they're going to be doing 40% damage to them, which is insane, which is really high damage number, to be honest. And also we're reducing their movement speed by, you know, 30%, which is a good thing. Now it only stays active for 10 seconds, but there is no cooldown, so you can just keep rocking it over and over again. And that's what our build is, you know, capable of doing so. Now, as for our secondary weapon, we're using the Scorpio here. To be honest, you don't really need it. You can use any other weapon you want. But hey, Scorpio is overall a great shotgun. So we are using that for that because it has a nice, you know, built-in, I would say, utility. So you can just stop your enemies if they're too aggressive. So you can just use that. Now, as for our gear, like I said, I'm using 4 pieces of Eclipse Protocol. You want to make sure you have a status effect like everywhere. You don't need anything like skill damage or skill haste. Make sure you have status effect, because the more status effect you have, the more longer your duration of the status effect will be. And that's pretty much what we want here. We want that burn. We want that, you know, the riot foam. We want everything of those things to stay longer to our targets. So they get, you know, CC'd for longer, obviously. So that's pretty much what we're doing here. Eclipse Protocol also gives us, you know, status effects, skill haste, plus, hey, hazard protection, 30%, not bad, huh? So you get that. And for the 4-piece talent is whenever you're getting the kill, I mean, it's not you, but your group members, it applies to them. So when you're doing a status effect applied on the enemy and that enemy dies, it's going to spread the status effect to the other enemies, like the nearby enemies, which is a good thing. It just causes a chain reaction and everybody gets that status effect applied on them. And that's pretty much what we need here. That's the good thing about Eclipse Protocol. And like I said, everything will have status effect as your attribute. So make sure you have a status effect everywhere. Now, as for the high end, I'm actually currently using the China Light backpack here for the 15% of explosion damage. Technically, we don't need that because we're not using the grenade to do damage. We're using the grenade to crowd control, even though my fire grenades is taking like 200k, which is nice. But hey, we're using it for, you know, crowd controlling, not for damage. So I would say the perfect backpack over here would be like a golden gear backpack, or any backpack that gives you 10% of status effect as a, you know, first attribute, like the set bonus there. So you want that. and make sure you get status effect in your attribute as well, and maybe skill haste. I have skill damage, but it's okay. You can also use like a wyvern where if you want skill damage, but then again, choosing a backpack with the status effect would be better than anything. The reason why I don't have the golden backpack here, because golden drops with armor, blue core, so it will be hard for you to farm with the right attribute like status effect and a talent, so you can change it to skill tier. So that's the reason why I didn't choose that. As for our talent, I actually went with creeping death here. This is kind of like a mini Eclipse Protocol in build to this talent. Now, Eclipse Protocol requires a kill to spread the status effect. This one does not. So this is your basically the first talent you want to activate when you're starting out the fight. So if you're throwing a grenade or using a riot foam, this will get activated immediately. If it's out of cooldown, 15 seconds, obviously it will proc, and it will make sure that everybody's getting CC'd. Like status effect, whichever one you're applying, choose to apply first, whether it's the fire, shock, or like riot foam, whichever one you're doing that, this will proc and it will pretty much apply on everyone within 8 meters, which is pretty good. Now, if you want to further buff your group damage, you want to use something like Opportunistic. Since we're using shotgun as our main weapon, Opportunistic will amplify our group damage by 10%. If you're using the normal version, obviously. If you're using the setup backpack, then that is 15%. So you choose what you want, but I chose the creeping death because it's kind of hilarious. So yeah, that's why I actually use this. Now, as for the chest piece, the collector here, which unfortunately this comes with the weapon damage 15%. You can't get skill tier here, but hey, the talent is really good, the hoarder, because we get extra grenade capacity, we get grenade radius 50%, we got the damage 35%, and we have more damage. Depends on how many enemies we're going to get in that grenade radius, so which is good. We don't really need that much. The only thing we care mostly is the grenade regeneration. Every 30 seconds you're going to regenerate grenades, right? So that only happens when you have 2 or less grenades, so be mindful of that. Okay, it's not a 30-second grenade like unlimited. No, it's only 2 grenades that you're going to generate. I mean, if you have less than 2 grenades, sorry, if you have less than 2 grenades, then you're going to generate the grenade every 30 seconds. But don't worry, when I was actually using this build, I felt like I have a grenade every time in my hand when I needed it. And you don't really need the grenade that much, because all you have to do is just throw the grenade, burn everybody, proc the sledgehammer. So make sure you have the lefty weapon in your hand when you're throwing the grenade. Just proc the sledgehammer and let everybody burn, spreading the status effect, applying this the creeping death at the same time. And your group members at that time is just shredding their armor, because you have sledgehammer active. You also have 10% damage to target out of cover active from your specialization. So your group members who has a DPS build is pretty much just going to shred them. And you can also use the riot foam to put them in one place and just burn them. Like, yeah, that's pretty much what your job is. And it's just going to be like that. Enemies just going to stay in one place. They're not going to move. And your group members just going to pretty much melt them. Like, that's how this build is working. And if your grenade is done, you could just reapply, like throw the grenade again, and it'll proc the sledgehammer again. The funny thing is, as long as you're holding the weapon in your hand and you're throwing a grenade, even if the sledgehammer is done, if they step into the fire again, it's going to proc sledgehammer. Since the initial cast of the fire was from your grenade, if the fire stays on the ground, the enemies stepping in will proc sledgehammer, because you have the weapon holding in your hand, which is kind of nice. So that's why I said you can keep sledgehammer active 100%, like it's 100% uptime. So try it out. It's a pretty fun build. You can crowd control, like Eclipse Protocol is really good. And with the collector, you just pretty much spamming the grenade, activating sledgehammer every time, giving buff to your entire group. Now, this is a support build, like a CC build, like a crowd control build. If you want to make it a damage build, you could use concussion grenade, or like I said, the firewall specialization with the cluster grenade. You can use that, but I think this is good. Now, you would say, hey, using like this, you have 5 skill tier. How do I get 6 skill tier? Well, when I'm actually throwing the grenade and procking sledgehammer, I have to equip my lefty in the hand to proc the sledgehammer, obviously. At that time, I have 5 skill tier, because the chest piece collector has weapon damage, right? However, when I'm using my riot foam, or the skill, any skill that I'm using with this build, I'm actually holding my pistol. The pistol I have is the card custom, and that gives me the +1 skill tier, and I have perpetuation talent on it, which increases my status effect duration and damage by 50%. So I hold this weapon in the hand, give myself 6 skill tier, and then use the riot foam, and also throw the grenade so they burn, and so I'm doing extra duration and damage, and then I can just use my lefty to proc the sledgehammer. And that's pretty much how I play this. It's very simple to play. There's nothing crazy happening here. Just very simple. Just keep throwing grenade, apply the the shock with the shock trap, and also ride foam, put them in one place. Use the the Survivalist Specialization weapon to destroy Chunga's armor, and that's it. That's pretty much it. That's a very simple build. Give it a try and let me know how you feel about it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.